He who was handed everything, and he who had nothing. Todoroki versus Izuku. So, the fight is about to be underway in the next chapter of Boku no Hero Academia, and you gotta love that color page. Honestly, that just... to see so many color pages of Boku no Hero Academia in so many weeks, like, in these recent weeks, it's incredible, because when a series gets that many cover pages, like front cover pages, it's just showing you how popular the series is. So Boku no Hero Academia is still as hype as ever in Japan, and it continues to grow in hype, especially with all these lead color pages. That just goes to show you the quality of the mangaka. So let's dive into some details. Now, this chapter of Boku no Hero Academia, it is very simple and very sweet. The first half of the chapter is kind of getting to see how Bakugo has grown as a character and how he respects Ochako. Ochako as a character growing and her motivation, how she feels after the fight. And then the last part of the chapter, you have it to where Endeavor and Izuku have a conversation, and they have like some form of conversation. It's kind of like All Might versus Endeavor, like their conversation. So let's dive into the first part, Bakugo. As I've been saying for many weeks, Bakugo has moved up in my spots of my favorite characters because he has matured so much. He respects people so much more. And to see how in this chapter, he just walks up the steps, he starts cussing out Izuku, and he's like putting him down like, you could go fucking die. That's what he was saying to him. And then all of a sudden, he's like, are you the one that gave that girl the plan? Like, why are you busting my nuts? Why are you busting my nuts, man? That's actually what Bakugo said. He's like, why are you busting my nuts? Why are you giving her this type of plan to beat me? And then all of a sudden he had to where Izuku's like, no, I didn't give her that plan. She fought that all on her own. She did that. And you had it to where Bakugo, you could tell on his face he was shocked because he thought only someone like Izuku could be able to outsmart him like that. And to see how Ochako was able to come up with a plan like that and hold her own against someone like Bakugo, just goes to show you that Bakugo's starting to get a mutual form of respect for his fellow companions, especially when it comes to Izuku and Ochako, because we know in that fight between Ochako versus Bakugo, they were kind of having a mutual understanding to where they were respecting each other. Like, Bakugo was respecting Ochako in that fight. He wasn't trying to rush it, he wasn't trying to be hard-headed, he was thinking it through, and he was taking his time with Ochako. He didn't try to stomp her in under a couple seconds, or he would have lost if he would have done that. So it shows you that Bakugo has calmed down as a character, and he has matured as a character to be able to recognize the potential of Izuku and Ochako in this chapter, because he makes a little comment in the middle of the chapter where he's like, oh no, she's not weak, she's damn strong. Like, the way he says it, he was saying that she is not fragile, she is very strong. And to see him say something like that, it's like he's giving his approval or praise to Ochako as a character, that she will be incredible in the near future. So that was the first half of the chapter, and then we get into the second half. The second half of the chapter is getting to see Ochako after the match, how she feels after the match, how she looks, the damage she has received, and stuff like that. And at first, Ochako puts up a front. She puts up this front to where she acts like she is fine, everything is okay, she lost, but I mean, she says like, oh, Bakugo is incredibly strong. I mean, she was just putting up this face to where she was fine. And then after Izuku leaves, you see how she kind of slightly breaks down and she starts talking to her father, her parents and stuff, and it's like, oh no, I was annihilated, I was weak and all that, I'll try my best and do better. And when you see how her parents are trying to help her out, it's like, don't worry, you don't need to rush. And then she's also trying to help them out, because we know Ochako's entire goal to be a hero is kind of help out her parents, and to see that, it was very sweet. It was very sad too when you got to see how she was, crying and all that on the phone, and when you see like, you'll be one of the greatest heroes, like the parents said that to Ochako. Very sweet, very, very sweet section of the chapter. But Ochako has quickly moved up into one of the best girls of the series. She is the best girl of Boku no Hero Academia at the moment because of her personality, her potential, and just getting to see how she acts in the series. Now, besides that, moving on to the last portion of the chapter, Endeavor meets Izuku face to face. They have a conversation. And in this conversation, you can once again see the best dad of 2015 coming out. Like, oh, he's gonna beat you. Don't, make this fight pointless and stupid, Izuku. You better make sure you go out there and put up a really good fight against Todoroki. Just pretty much giving the trash talk and saying, like, my son is more superior. He's a nice, good tool. But anyways, you had to where they were talking, and then Izuku eventually turned around and was like, no, he is not you. He is not you, Endeavor. He is not you. Todoroki is not you, Endeavor. And I am not All Might. And to see that, you had it to where Endeavor said, oh, so you're exactly like All Might, because, you know, the way the eyes were very similar. So to see that, it just goes to show you the similarities between All Might and Izuku. And, you know, the very thing that Izuku is kind of denying is kind of, I guess, similar when it comes to the ideals and their perspective on certain things, especially when it comes to Endeavor and Todoroki. And that's it. That's pretty much the chapter of Boku no Hero Academia. It was a good chapter. I loved it. It was very fun reading. Cannot wait for next week to see what is going to go down. Who do you think is going to win? Do you feel like Izuku's going to win? Do you feel like Todoroki's going to win? Let me know. You all have a wonderful day or not wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.